Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, depends where you are, I guess. I'm excited to be here. I'm super excited to introduce everyone to our guest today on the Improving Sales Performance livecast. I think you guys are going to really get a lot out of Tony and my conversation. I know a lot of people are still joining. I see you coming in. Do me a favor, if you want to leave a comment, if you want to ask a question, if you want to tell us where you are today. I happened to travel yesterday, and so I know that people are traveling again. So let us know where you are today. We'd love to know, and feel free to ask questions along the way. I can see your comments coming in. I'll try to get to those. Let me introduce Tony Hartl. I'm extremely excited to have this conversation and to introduce you to Tony. Tony and I have known each other for 20 years. I consider him a friend, and he's just a fabulous business leader and culture warrior. So let me do this introduction. I'm going to read it, and then we'll get into the questions. Tony, I'm going to embarrass you a little bit, so sorry about that. So Tony's the founder of Crunch Fitness Austin. He has a real zest for life and fitness. He's enjoyed a career that combines both his professional and his recreational interests. And wait till you hear about this. Tony is a Midwesterner, a father, a world traveler, an author, an optimist, and experienced entrepreneur. As the founder and former CEO of Grand Teton, which is a business he started in 1995 in the Dallas-Fort Worth area with 3 locations, with a vision, and I remember him sharing this vision with me 20 years ago, to provide an affordable luxury where everybody can feel better about themselves. With 13 years of hard work, Grand Teton grew into one of the area's most recognizable brands, had 17 locations, 160 employees, and the nation's highest average per unit sales. And that is a great precursor to what we're going to talk about later on with driving performance and keeping an amazing internal culture. Since selling Grand Teton in 2008, Tony's fulfilled other life goals. He's traveled to over 30 countries. He's had an adventure in each and every one of them. He's done things like he went diving with great white sharks in South Africa, to cycling all throughout Italy, which I'm very jealous of. Along the way, he even created the iconic wine, which is called Seed. It's a Malbec from Mendoza, Argentina, which has had early success. In fact, it scored a 94-point score in Wine Enthusiast. In 2018, he launched Crunch Fitness into Central Texas. It's headquartered in Austin. His plan is to develop 21 new Crunch Fitness locations all throughout the Lone Star State. As with all of his business ventures, Tony has a deep passion for health and exercise. To name a few of his accomplishments, he's climbed the Grand Teton in Wyoming, and he ran a personal best. He broke the 3-hour barrier. He did a 2:58 at the New York Marathon, which is just so cool. That's so cool. Tony put his company philosophy on paper back in 2011 with his award-winning business book called Selling Sunshine, 75 Tools, Tips, and Tactics for Becoming a Wildly Successful Entrepreneur. And I'm certain the book titled, the name had something to do with me. I just don't know what it is. And all the proceeds of that book are being donated to the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. One last thing, among all of these things, he also serves as board members, investors, or trustees for many organizations, and he's won some awards and had some accomplishments that are worth sharing. Winner of the Axiom's Bronze Business Book Award for Selling Sunshine. He's been featured on the cover of Fortune for small businesses. He's been featured in the Inc. 5000. He was awarded top entrepreneur under 40 in D Magazine, and he was recently, just this past May, featured in an article in Success Magazine. Everyone, please welcome Tony Hartl. Thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you, Matt. That's incredibly kind of you. We have known each other for literally over 20 years. Only one distinction on there is the goal originally set out to do 21 locations. And then when we got going, we were like, hey, why not do 50? So we set a BHAG, right, of 50 locations, and that's the new goal. So
I love that, and I love the BHAG.
Put that in the universe, right?
Yeah, 50 is good.
Yeah,
50 is good. All right, so let's jump into this because we're going to focus on performance and we're going to focus on culture. Two things that I know that everyone who's going to watch this is going to be interested in. And so I'm going to bring up some things. I just want you to kind of expound on these.
sure.
Over the years, I've heard you say, and I've seen you talk about it in blogs and articles, that no can kickers or cave dwellers or clock watchers for management. What does that mean, and why is that important?
Yeah, so that came out of like tip 28 in Selling Sunshine. That's a tip out of the book. There's like 75 tips, and that's like tip 28. That really came from a philosophy, and of course, I was trying to capture the essence or the spirit in sort of a soundbite, right, to get a point across. And so I'm a leader that uses leadership to really send a message. And really to send a message to the way to live while running a business for me. And I try to remind people to get out of their comfy chair, out of their office, their home office now, and get out and meet your employees, get out and meet your people, and get to know what are their dreams and find out how you can make the experience working with you better and make your customers' experience better. But find out what their goals are so you can understand how to make the business and their personal goals be a place that they can accomplish all these things. And I don't think you're able to do that by not connecting with people. And I understand with COVID, it's difficult now. And so it's a philosophy, but there's still ways to do it. And there's still ways to connect with people. For me, there's great F. Scott Fitzgerald's quote that says, "No brilliant idea was ever born in a conference room, but lots of silly ideas died there." And not much is really done in an office or in a boardroom. It's connecting with people. And so there's different essences to what I was saying, but I really believe business is all about people. And if you don't really know what their goals and dreams are, and you're not really passionate to go meet them where they're at instead of where you're at, which is a comfortable place, you're probably not living on the edge, and you're probably not making a lot of progress, just to be quite honest, because you're in a place of comfort. And we all know that there's no growth in comfort. There's only growth in stretching yourself, right? And it's uncomfortable. I get it. But living on the edge is usually where all the growth takes place.
Yeah, it's interesting with everyone, this new work from home mentality or mindset or that's going on right now. One of the things that I've been saying a lot to people is increase your talk time, right? Not everyone's always points to their meeting time. I have so many meetings, and well, how often are you talking to your folks? How often are you getting to know them? Your customers, the people that you work with, really increase that talk time. And I think you're exactly right. Get to know your people is certainly one of the keys. So a business philosophy, I've heard you say, strive to make an impact in the lives of employees and customers, and expound on that. Like, give us examples. How do you do that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So my belief is, I'll give you an example, but business to me is good because it creates value, right? So it's noble. And because it's noble, it can elevate our existence. So I'll start with this philosophy. And because business is heroic, and it's heroic because it can lift literally people out of poverty, right? So for me, business is a noble profession. It has a heroic aspiration, and it is designed, if done well through conscious capitalism, you can really, you can really be conscious of the wake that you leave. And the wake is, am I leaving this person, this situation better than I found it, right? And I think you got to go into every situation and go, did I show up with integrity? Did I show up with intentionality? And was I transparent? And was my attempt to leave this better than I found it? And so for me, when I had Planet Tan, just being candid, I was not passionate about oxidizing melatonin. It's just not my jam, right? And but I was super inspired to create an amazing culture in a small business and an amazing brand, which you know because you have so much marketing background, what Planet Tan did from a branding standpoint. And so I was very inspired to elevate the existence of my employees. And I always thought if I could elevate their existence, it would translate to a great member experience. And of course, there were a lot of iterations along the way, like what was the size of a Planet Tan? It ended up with 50 tanning beds. Those were the largest facilities in the world, 7-Eleven, 7 days a week. We pioneered the no contract, $19 a month. And all of those things were about creating access. But once I sold that company in 2008 and really my hobbies became my job, I sort of lost purpose. And what I realized is life is much more meaningful when you're thinking about impacting other people's lives. And that can sound so large, but it really isn't. It can start with just being intentional when you interact with other people. For me, the largest canvas that I could use was business. So I had like 160, 170, 80 employees when I sold Planet Tan. I have around 300 right now, right? Like, wow. And the way I look at it, and the reason why I say 50, so for me, we have about 40 employees per location. We'll have 2,000 employees when I get to 50 locations. So for me, it's not really a rev goal. Of course, revenue is a byproduct of that. It's an employee goal. And wouldn't it be amazing to be the best place to work and work out, right? And so for me, that's worth getting up and working hard to impact a lot of people's lives. And through that process, I'll impact the wellness of the communities that I serve if I impact the employees that work with me, right? And that's how I think about it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And shameless plug on our part, we've been fans of culture and driving culture, and we know that you can have the greatest marketing in the world, but if you don't have a great place to work, then who cares? There
was this great study, and I'm not able to recall the author of the study, but it was a great research piece, and it was about call centers of all things, and they're like, what distinguishes a world-class call center from a normal or let's call it a mediocre call center? And the researcher was like, I'm not able to point at any one statistic. The only thing that I can say is it comes down to culture, that people seem more motivated, and somehow that motivation translates into better experiences, better sales, better, right? As opposed to a place where there's no music, right? People aren't talking. They're not interacting with people, are in their own cubbyhole and they're only staying with themselves, right? So there is something that if you want to just use culture to create a point of differentiation, it does that. I think it needs to be authentic. Like, you really have to love people, right? And you got to care about people. And if you don't, probably business is not going to be. Go in a corner and count things, and that's probably going to be a great place for you. But people deserve your best, and that's showing up with a lot of intentionality and also energy, right? Like energy.
Yeah, when we start helping people with the vision of our company called Up Your Culture, we start helping people or talking to businesses that want to increase their culture. You can tell in that first conversation if they want to do it, if they're authentic or not.
That's right.
And if they're not authentic, it doesn't matter what they do. It has to be legit, right? It has to be really something. All right, let's talk about business for a second, because I know culture is really important, but at the end of the day, revenue's got to be there. So how do you drive revenue, business performance at Crunch Fitness? What are some of those keys to success?
Yeah. So like in every business, right, you've got a ton of things going on and there's a lot of noise. And I think the trick is to really distill down the essence of whatever the space you're playing in. For us, there's only a few dials that really matter, right? It's one of it is traction, acclimation, development, care. How do we go about peopling? That is part of our secret sauce. How do we look at cost per acquisition, cost per guest? How do we leverage and become more efficient with using digital versus traditional? Even though we're digital, we're still very much high touch and in quotation marks, maybe traditional marketers. But we focus on peopling. We focus on the dial of cost per lead, cost per acquisition. We focus on the dial, obviously, of conversion. But then part of our secret sauce in our industry, and I guess it won't be secret if I tell you it, but one of the keys, which is very counterintuitive, is like uptime of equipment, right? And so it sounds like a little Six Sigma, factory manufacturing, but it really is critical that what the product people, because really if we think about our space, our product is our service. So we're product development people, right? I'm really ahead of product, and my product is the service. And if that service is not, you don't have the ability to use or engage with my service, which is my equipment, right? Coming into my facility, and it's clean and it's a hospitable environment where you're able to use it. Well, then obviously engagement's going to go down and attrition's going to increase. And so really the dials for us is people, obviously marketing, conversion, but really it's critical to find a secret sauce. And for us, it's really it's cleanliness and it's uptime of our equipment.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's excellent to hear. That's good insight too. So you posted on LinkedIn the other day, and I actually took a screenshot of it because I really liked it. You posted a photo that someone made for you, I think, that said, "Work hard, have fun, make history."
Yeah.
Tell us about that, because I like.
Yeah, that's right. So the credit goes to Amber Gibbons. That was our mission statement. That was our values at Planet Tan. Right. So like I would go into these offices and there'd be this big mission that no one knew. And I would be like, tell me about your values. And so as a marketing person, right, I ran it through a marketing filter. I was like, okay, this is a problem to be solved. So, the mission at Planet Tan was simple, is to provide an affordable luxury where everybody, it was a play on words, everybody could feel better about themselves, every body type. And the values that we would see that would be behaviors would be work hard, have fun, make history. So we took those values and even though I sold that company, they're my values, and I brought it over here to Crunch. Right. And what that means is like with work, right? Like, there's a great quote by Benjamin Franklin: "Once a job is first begun, leave it not until it's done, and whether matter great or small, do it well or not at all." So coming from the Midwest, which you're Midwesterner as well, hard work is just the ticket to like show up. It's not like a big deal, right. But to a lot of people, it's a big deal. And so it takes a lot of work to be successful. It just does. There's no way around it. And the truth is, anything we're doing look, even if you owned it, even if you're retired, I was retired, and it wasn't all fun. I mean, literally, I was living in Argentina, had a winery, and was climbing mountains, and it sounds very romantic, but purpose is fun. Working with people is fun. And so you've got to find something you're passionate about, and a lot of times you got to make your own fun. And then the last thing is make history, which is anything worth doing is worth doing incredibly well. And that Benjamin Franklin quote kind of encapsulates all that for me. But it means being like world class, and this pursuit of what world class is, not the pursuit of a dollar. I think you can make a lot of money if you don't pursue money, right? I think you can be incredibly successful if you figure out how to be really good at something. And you can be very financially successful if you're world class at it. And so my life has been the pursuit of what that world class is, really pushing myself to try to learn, be around a very smart group of people, and also be open to change and open to doing things different, rather than putting my ego into it and going, oh, this is my way. Well, maybe my way doesn't work. So it's about the pursuit of the very best. While we're here on earth, I think you've got to give your best.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do think we'll give props to the Midwest. I do think
that's
those
right.
That's just how it is.
All the cliches with Midwest, right? If you shake it, it's a deal, but there's some truth to it as well.
Yeah. Last question. I think everyone probably that will watch this will have the same feeling of, wow, you're in the fitness industry. We're dealing with the whole COVID thing. That industry's been hit hard. We all know that. And yet you're saying we're not just doing 21, we're doing 50 locations. Yeah. So in an industry that's been hit hard, how are you keeping your team focused and energized, and how are you getting new members and keeping members? Kind of give us, I know this, we don't have 3 hours to go into this, but give us the big picture of this.
High level, right? So one is is transparency, right? So it's like, you're right. We have really big facilities, and the business model is based on a lot of people using the facility. It's not the other way around, like sign up a bunch of people and we hope they don't use it. That's like the quickest way to lose people. Like, if they're not engaging with your product, how are you going to do well? So for us, we're 24 hours a day, 24/7. We have like 50 treadmills at every location. So it's all about access, right? And so the key for us is transparency, right? This is where we're at. This is the situation. Now, what are the things that we have control over? And we very much have control over the way we're providing the facilities, that it feels safe. And one of those optics is the cleanliness, that we're spraying down, we're cleaning things, that it feels like a safe environment. But even with all of that, a lot of it is just communicating with the staff. So like you and I are communicating every Tuesday at 2:00. There's Tuesday with Tony at 2 p.m. And we do that every week. And it's a way to really use a megaphone and get alignment out. And so I think it's important to be transparent. I think it's critical that you've got to align the team, and the team's got to commit and then you have to use financial management. And so in this type of times, there's a lot of things you'd like to do, but not necessary. And there's things that are critical that you have to do. And so for us, it's understanding, alignment of the team, communication, obviously, buy-in from the team, and then the commitment to financial discipline, right, within the organization, really being tough. And if you can make it when you go through a difficult time with anyone, it makes you stronger. And so what I see with, through these difficult times, some people, they realize, like, this is too hard, and this isn't for me, and I've got to wear a couple different hats. And you're like, yeah, we're lean. We have to stay lean, and everyone has to step up a little bit more. But it also provides an opportunity that people are thriving in those moments. They just needed the shot to step up and say, yes, my hand's up. Give me a shot. I'd love to help out. And so we're communicating. We're still inspiring our people. And as a result, we have more members now than we had pre-COVID. And there's a couple reasons behind that, timing of when the gym's open, but we're really we're working hard to remember our product is service. And as the director of product, my job is to get high engagement with my product, right? And get people to utilize my product and find value in it.
Yeah, I've said to a lot of our clients, we've had this conversation about, going through these last 6-7 months has really made us stretch. And I think the very best organizations, the stretch has made us stronger. We're doing things differently now, but honestly, maybe they're better, right? Maybe there are some things that we've had to adjust to that, quite honestly, I'm not going back. I like some of the new things that we're all doing right now.
We like a lot of things, and also there's a lot of learning lessons we would never have received had we not been in the situation that we go, okay, moving forward, here's how we'll think about these things, and we'll put the disciplines in. So if we ever end up in a different kind of situation, similar situation, maybe not in this situation, we're well prepared for it. But I think staying very lean, really a philosophy of 1 = 3. One good person is equal to 3 average people. One great person is equal to 3 good people. So people can be a differentiator. Getting better people, if you need 9, hire 6, pay them like 7. It's a culture of better people win. And you need people that are what I call a BDC over an MBA. I love people that are smart. I've got MBAs, masters on my team. But I'll always take a bright-driven and committed person, a BDC, bright-driven and committed, over an MBA, because that drive, that commitment, that passion, it's hard to compete with.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I so enjoy talking to you every single time. That's going to be it. I'm not going to hold you any longer, but let me say a few things before we get out of here. So first, thank you so much, Tony. I really appreciate you taking your time. I know that everyone that was watching today or will watch this when it's as a recording certainly got a lot out of this. I want to remind everyone to subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure that you sign up for the notifications so that you get notified. We are committed to doing this weekly. Every week we'll have a different guest on, someone that will share their perspective on how to improve sales performance and to continue to up your culture at your business. Again, a big thank you to Tony. If you want to get a hold of Tony, You can follow him or connect with him on LinkedIn, and his LinkedIn address is on the screen. And of course, if you ever need to get a hold of me, you can reach me. You can connect with me on LinkedIn as well, or on Twitter. I try to be extremely responsive to anyone that reaches out. And with that, thank you, Tony, and we'll see everyone next week.
Thank you, Matt.